Most people who spend $15,000 to $50,000 on stem cell therapy don't get what they paid for. And it's not because stem cells don't work, but because they were never capable of working in the first place. You see, if you don't understand the biological bottleneck that determines whether stem cells succeed or fail, then you're almost guaranteed to waste your money. In this video, I'm going to cover how you can avoid this stem cell trap and how you may even be able to get better results for a fraction of the price. So, all around the world, we have seen stem cell clinics selling a very compelling story. They tell you that young stem cells will circulate throughout your body, find whatever is damaged, and rebuild it, whether it's your joints, your organs, your heart, or your brain, even aging itself. And while it sounds like the next frontier in regenerative therapy, it just isn't how human biology actually works. And I've worked with clients who went to the most expensive clinics in the world, including doctors, longevity researchers, and high-level executives. And almost all of them came back saying the same thing. They felt something for a few days, maybe a week, and then it faded, or nothing happened at all. This includes some of the best stem cell clinics on the planet, offering up to 4 consecutive days of stem cell injections. And I've spent my career in biological optimization, and it's always been grounded in the scientific method, precision, and mastering outcomes in the real world with my clients. I know that stem cells are powerful. That's exactly why I started asking harder questions when people came to me after they were disappointed in their prior stem cell therapy. And what I discovered was some big issues. First, most people don't know what type of cells they're receiving. They don't know how many are alive after thawing. They don't know whether those cells can physically reach the tissues that they're supposed to repair. And they don't know whether their internal biology can even support stem cells at all. That's why, no matter how eager someone is to get stem cell therapy, they must first answer one of the most important questions, which is, what are you actually trying to fix? Because different goals require completely different stem cells. If your goal is age reversal, immune system restoration, or basic neurological support, you need hematopoietic stem cells. These cells can rebuild your entire blood factory, including the red blood cells that carry oxygen, white blood cells that fight infections, and lymphoid progenitor cells, which travel to your thymus gland to become matured into functional T lymphocytes, which are one of the most important components of your immune system. And immune regeneration and restoration can have profound effects for age reversal as well. There's a lot which occurs downstream from that, including reducing inflammatory signaling and reducing accumulation of dysfunctional cells called senescent cells. And this will, of course, lead to a mild tissue repair effect as well. Hematopoietic cells are small, about 8 microns, which means they can pass through the lung capillaries when given intravenously, although just barely. It is possible for these cells to also engraft within your bone marrow niches and remain for a long period of time, perhaps even indefinitely. However, this requires very specific biological conditions to be met, and it's not a guarantee that this will occur for you. The only way to know for sure would be to get advanced DNA comparative testing between your cells, and most people won't do that. But if your goal is joint repair, muscle healing, heart tissue repair, or localized brain injury repair like a stroke or TBI, you're going to want to get mesenchymal stem cells. But there's a problem, and almost no clinic will tell you this. They're very large, often 15 to 30 microns. Your lung capillaries are 5 to 8 microns. So when someone injects mesenchymal stem cells intravenously, what happens is they get trapped in the lungs on the first pass, and depending on the extent of their deformability, they may even stay there until they die. This means they may never reach your joints, your heart, or your brain while they are alive. Now, this does not mean that they're entirely useless, as they can secrete growth factors, exosomes, and interleukin 10, and so on, which can then travel within circulation and have secondary benefits. But if you want to get real benefits from them, you need to get them injected within the area that you're actually trying to repair, whether that's a joint or another organ. The only case when IV makes sense here is if you're trying to repair the lungs in particular. I personally knew someone with repeated heart attacks, and he was facing heart failure. And he spent $27,000 receiving IV mesenchymal stem cells in Panama. He got no lasting benefit. And the first thing that comes to mind is that they should have been delivered intra-arterially with fluoroscopy so that they can be administered directly into the heart itself. This does not come without its own risks, however, as fluoroscopy exposes you to radiation as well, and radiation can accelerate aging, weaken the immune system, and even increase the risk of cancer. However, this same person, when I later reviewed his case, discovered he had lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. And autoimmune diseases, like the name suggests, are immune-driven, and in extreme cases can affect the heart. What would have been better for this person is to receive hematopoietic stem cells intravenously to rebalance immune function, and then mesenchymal stem cells delivered intra-arterially near the heart, not IV. But the clinic never evaluated him properly. They took his money and sent him home. And here's the thing. It gets even more uncomfortable when you look at a lot of companies who aren't selling stem cells at all, but selling products that claim to boost your stem cells. Supplements, protocols, foods. I've seen it all over YouTube. And most of these supplements actually work by mobilizing the stem cells out of your bone marrow. This means they force them out of your bone marrow into circulation. And repeated mobilization without rebuilding the stem cell niche actually exhausts your stem cell supply faster. It's not rejuvenation, it's like taking out a loan. You'll also hear advice like eat these foods to increase stem cells or activate stem cells naturally. There was one very popular doctor saying this, and when I looked at the study he was citing, I was in total disbelief because it didn't even show that stem cells were increased at all. Now, don't get me wrong, nutrition does matter. It's important, of course, for creating a healthy biological environment, for providing your body with all of the sufficient nutrients and cofactors that it needs to assure proper biological signaling and stem cell function. But it does very little on its own to improve collapsed microcirculation, mitochondrial decay, chronic inflammation, and immune dysfunction. All those systems determine whether stem cells work or fail. And this is what most people miss. If you take a healthy cell and you place it into a severely inflamed, dysfunctional environment, one that lacks the metabolic and signaling capacity to even respond, how can you reasonably expect that cell to produce meaningful regeneration? You can't. Stem cells work through biological signaling. If the machinery that interprets those signals is broken, the intervention is going to fail, regardless of how expensive or advanced it sounds. And this becomes even more important when people consider using their own stem cells. If you have your own stem cells harvested and proliferated in a lab, and then have them either injected back intravenously or within a joint, all you've done is increase the number of already compromised cells and place them back into the same hostile environment. Unless someone is exceptionally young and biologically pristine, in which case stem cell therapy wouldn't make sense anyway, this approach will almost certainly produce little to no results. The real priority should be restoring the biological environment first. When you do that, two things will happen. Your own stem cells function better, and any external stem cell therapy you may decide to get becomes more effective and longer lasting. That's why I recommend anyone considering getting stem cells to first get the Biological Recode System, and then get stem cells after. Many people find, however, since there is a stem cell rejuvenation pillar within the Biological Recode System, which is scientifically proven to not only improve the youthfulness and function of your own stem cells, but increase their number as well, that they experience such good results for anti-aging and repair that they no longer feel the need to get stem cells at the clinic. And if you're interested in benefiting from such a solution, just check the link in the description or go to cuttingedgelongevity.com/biological-recode-page. And this has been Brenden Henry, former biomedical engineer and founder of the Peptide Science Institute and Cutting Edge Longevity. I hope this video has been helpful and informative to you, and thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.